Hello, everyone. This is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Dibbler. Thank you very much for joining us. Wherever you're watching, we do appreciate it. We are live here every weekday starting around 1 p.m., going throughout the afternoon and covering a wide range of topics. Today, we are talking about the wolf population in Oregon, and in particular, the fact that it has increased for the first time in a few years based on the 2024 annual report that the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife puts out. We talk about that with Michelle Dennehy from the ODFW, just about what that means, and in particular, the population of wolves in Western Oregon. Normally, they've been mostly over in the east, pretty established over there, but this spread into the Western Oregon and the increase in population. We want to find out just a little bit more about what that means, both for agriculture, for the environment, for people out hiking, all of those things. We talked to Michelle about a lot of that here in this interview, so let's jump right to it. Michelle, thank you for having some time to talk to us today about this. And, I know we've discussed wolves before here on the show, and I think it's something that everybody is always fascinated by, to find out how these efforts are working in the state of Oregon and the different packs that are here. And I guess to that extent, to start off, we have the 2024 annual wolf report. And can you tell us just what that is and how that information is gathered for that?
Sure. So currently, every year we do a minimum known wolf count, where we try to observe as many wolves as we can, and we also want to determine if a pack is a breeding pair, and that means that the pack has two adult wolves and then at least two pups that survive through the end of the year. Pups are born in mid-April, but we're looking to see that they actually survived through the end of the year. And that's kind of an important conservation threshold for some of our management and for moving to different phases of management. And this year, we did document 7 breeding pairs in Western Oregon, 7 breeding pairs of wolves. And that's the first year that we've hit this threshold. So that's big news for Western Oregon.
Yeah, and seeing them slowly making their way over here to Western Oregon, I mean, I guess to that extent, to asking that question, how long have the wolf packs been in Western Oregon?
So we saw at least an initial pack. You know what, we saw initial pack maybe 10 years ago. I'd have to go back and look at that. But we had not reached the first threshold we were really trying to reach was 4 breeding pairs for 3 consecutive years. And back in 2022, we had 4 breeding pairs. But in 2023, we did not meet that threshold. And that was partly due to poaching, because we had poaching in a pack that would have been a breeding pair, but for that poaching. But in 2024, we did hit that 7 breeding pairs. And if we see that for 2 additional years, then we would move into phase 3 of our wolf management plan. And one thing important to note with that count is we use hard evidence like tracks, trail camera observations, visual observations. So that's the minimum known wolf count, but it's not possible for us to observe every single wolf in Oregon during that count. So it is the minimum known wolf count.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering about that. Yeah, exactly how that's documented. And I assume some of them do have trackers on them of some sort.
Yeah, so we have collars on a certain percentage of our wolves in each pack as best we can. It isn't always easy to collar wolves, but we try to have at least one collar in there. And we use GPS collars, which basically send us location data. And then we also still have in use the older VHS radio collar. Those can be really sturdy collars, last longer than GPS collars. But we have to go find those locations. So it's not as easy as a GPS collar to track.
Gotcha. And taking a look here at the map, I've got this I can pull up just to give everybody a little bit more of an idea here too of what we're talking about, of where those packs are. So could you just explain this for anybody who's taking a look? And this is available publicly for everyone, but those blue areas, this is kind of the range for those known packs that you have?
Yeah, so when we get a resident wolf pack, we create what's known as an area of known wolf activity. If we have collar data, we base it on collar data. If we don't, then sometimes we'll just draw a circle around it, like, for example, the rogue pack. Or actually, let me restate that. So, yeah, so we create an area of known wolf activity when we have resident wolves. The area kind of depends on the information we have on it, which can be limited in some cases if we don't have a collar on the pack. But you'll see that wolves are very territorial. So in general, you're not, when there's a pack in an area, they're not going to share territory with another pack. And you can
That
see how in Northeast Oregon and even you can see that we have quite a number of wolf packs. And, we've seen growth slow in that area because, we may kind of be at capacity there and with all the wolf packs in the region.
And so there, Northeast, where they've been established there for quite a while. Well,
Yes.
for the Western Oregon packs, you mentioned if we see the same results for the next couple of years, you'll go into phase 3. Can you tell us what would that mean going into phase 3?
Sure. So right now, wolves west of highways 395, 7895 are actually on the federal endangered species list. So right now, federal regulations apply in that area. But if wolves are delisted in that area, then it would go to state management. And I think it's important to know that wolves are protected in every phase of wolf management in Oregon. In phase 2 and 3, we have slightly more relaxed rules when it comes to responding to livestock depredation. In all phases, we can, when we have what we call chronic wolf depredation, which is we're having multiple depredations and non-lethals aren't working, we can, respond to that. For example, we can give a permit to allow lethal removal. Sometimes us or our partners go in and lethally remove that wolf. So we have some options to deal with that. And one of the most critical things we're trying to do is reduce that conflict with livestock producers, because when they're impacted by wolf depredation, it really takes a toll on them, on their operation, on their workers, their family, because it can be really quite a lot of work to deal with that. So that's something we're working hard on here in Oregon, and as we get into those future phases, it gets a little easier to deal with that.
Gotcha. And how much of that depredation has resulted in tags being issued for wolf removal or having the ODFW remove them for this last year?
So one thing with tags, that's kind of a term we use for hunting, and we don't allow hunting of wolves in Oregon at this time.
Gotcha.
But what we can do is after a certain number of depredations, again, when non-lethals are in place but not working, we can issue a permit to allow for lethal removal, that kind of thing.
Thank you for clarifying, not to tag a
Sure, no,
permit
that's
for
fine.
that. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good for everybody to know. When it comes to there's an expansion and rise in the wolf population in Western Oregon, for people who are out there in the wilderness, in the woods, generally hiking, even hunting, or just enjoying the outdoors, is there any concern of interaction with wolves as they make their way here further into Western Oregon?
It doesn't happen often, but yeah, it can be a concern. Sometimes, particularly as it is with bears or cougars or other predators, what we want to avoid is sort of habituation of wolves, where in general, they're going to be wary of people. If they're not wary of people, then we start to get concerned. And the way that you can avoid that is, don't feed them. That's kind of the cardinal rule for all wildlife. Don't feed wolves. If you're noticing strange behavior, you definitely want to alert us or maybe the land manager if you're on public land. One thing to know is when they're raising pups, they may be more territorial. That's particularly a concern if you've got dogs in the back country. So we recommend keep your dogs leashed. Keep them close to you because you want the wolf to kind of associate the dog with a person, because they are territorial against other canids, and that includes dogs.
Oh, very good to know. So letting your
Yeah.
dog off leash
Yeah.
in some of those backcountry areas isn't a very good idea.
No, it's not.
Okay, that's
And
excellent.
one of the reasons we have all the maps we do is just so people can see where wolf activity is happening, and be prepared when they go out there. But in general, the advice for wolves is the same as it is for other wildlife, which is don't feed them, and if you see concerning behavior, report it. And we've got some more tips on our website about that.
Great. I mean, thank you for all this information. I think this is good for everybody to understand. And I think one of my last questions here, too, is just with the increase in the wolf population, we mentioned the livestock, but with the increase in wolf population, how does that affect some of the natural environment there in these areas where they're at as far as predation on deer and whatever else they're going after?
that's certainly something we're looking at. And Oregon wolves in Oregon are considered they're called a special status game mammal, and at this point we don't have a hunting season on wolves. Um, However, our plan does allow some kind of controlled take of wolves if we start to see a situation where our deer and elk populations are below management objective and wolves are the reason why. We haven't seen that yet. We certainly we're our mule deer are really struggling right now throughout Eastern Oregon and across the Western U.S. But there's a lot of other factors behind that. But in our plan, we do have that capacity if we're seeing deer and elk below management objective due to wolves to respond to that.
All right. Well, Michelle, thank you very much, for all this information. Anything else that you think is important just for people to know about this report and wolves in Oregon in general?
No, I think that's all. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay, so finding out a little bit more there about those wolf populations, and I think that key thing that I was noticing in there is make sure that your dog is on a leash if you're in one of those areas. You can find that map on the ODFW's website, or of course we've got it right here. You can share this video or let other people know about that as well. Important stuff to learn about. And we've got plenty more here for Fox 12 Now, and you can check out all of those segments at kptv.com or of course on the Fox 12 Oregon app. Great thing to download. You can live stream this show and everything else that we have going on here from station. So there's a lot of different things that you can check out. Lots of tabs, buttons, plenty of stuff to watch on there and peruse through. So I definitely recommend that. And if you have an idea for a segment, feel free to send me an email, fox12now, fox12now at kptv.com. And let me know what that is. Maybe you want to find out about a deeper dive of something that you saw one of our other reporters do. Maybe one of our investigative stories, and you're like, hey, I'd like to learn more information about that. Might be able to get the reporter on and do just that, answer some of those questions that you may specifically have. Or maybe there's an organization that you think could use a little attention, or it's an event that needs to be brought out, whatever it is. Feel free to send me an email, and we'll see if it's something we can do. But for right now, I'm signing off. I'll talk to you soon. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.